Hello and welcome to Spectrum of Color Panel. Thank you so much all for being here today. We have an amazing panel of guests with us today. We will be discussing the intersection of being Black and having autism. My name is Akuya Daniela. I run Town of Tawiah. I'm a social commentator on YouTube and on Instagram. And you can find my in my username here. I'll hand it over to you, Nathan.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spectrum of Color. It's our first episode. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Nathan. I am a content creator on Instagram who talks about being autistic, being bisexual, sober, all the good things. And I'll hand it off to you. Kia.
I'll have these lovely guests introduce themselves in just a moment. But today you should stick around because we'll be discussing and exploring what it's like to actually live with autism as a Black person. And we'll be touching on career, we'll be touching on our educational experiences, families, socializing, friends. And I really can't wait to really delve in and chat with you guys. So I would love if you guys could introduce yourselves. I know everyone always finds it so awkward to come up with an introduction, but you guys are great at this. So Ash, sorry, it's probably the story of your life, but Ash, to go first.
Well, hello. My name is Ash. I run an Instagram account at Shark Tizzy. I write about being Black and being autistic, as well as living with dissociative identity disorder. And I'm really happy to be here today.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Khadija, she, they, them. I am a human rights activist and I run my own cross-cultural consultancy. I've been doing that for 23 years. I'm new to the neurodivergent world because my diagnosis is new, but not new to all things fighting the power be in other areas and arenas. And I think for me, why I'm excited for this because I'm isolated in Australia as a Black autistic and neurodivergent person. So I think that is what I am looking for, is that sense of connection, but the globalness of our shared struggle. But I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Carolyn. I run an Instagram page called Disrupt Your Feed, and I'm a fourth-year medical student. So I kind of started that page when I started my healing journey, and I just wanted to share the things that I'm learning in school and also to help everybody get along on their healing journey. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I also go by my username, Tank0601. You can also find me on Instagram. I was most known for being in a video with special books by special kids. Check them out as well. And mostly I just try to get through life and survive, and hopefully to inspire others to not to be afraid of life.
Very relatable, to be honest. And that will be Fatima next.
Hi, my name is Fatima. You can find me on Instagram at Mimo3000. I mostly use my platform to talk about art, talk about the intersection of art and having autism and how just the creative world is kind of not as open to that, but how we can make it open to autism and neurodivergency and things of that sort. Because as a fashion major, it's something that I feel like is not talked about enough. So yeah, I mostly use my platform to encourage others to take their creativity to the next level, despite whatever outcomes may come from people not being open to them being neurodivergent.
Hi, my name is Yours, pronouns they, them, and I go under the handle Mangoranges, so you can also call me Mangoranges. I am an autism and ADHD mental health advocate and content creator, filmmaker, and I'm currently zooming in from Austria.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Sunshine.
Howdy. My name is Sunshine, and I am a content creator that talks about motherhood and travel through the lens of sustainability, and now my journey to discovering that I'm autistic and maybe raising super cool autistic kids too.
I think having this kind of thing online where you can find people that so specifically have all of those intersections, it's actually incredible, because I grew up in England, I've lived in Bath, and I grew up most of my life in London and went to school in Bath for like about 2 years, and now I'm living in Essex. And in all of those places, it's only the internet where I've seen these kind of intersections. In person, it's, you get one and you're lucky, it's like a queer person, oh thank God, or a Black person, that's thank God, but to get both, it's a lot more rare. So yeah, I think you just sort of raised that sort of reminder of how many different identities we have and how there's so many like intersecting communities within that. Yeah, sorry, Nate, you have our next question.
Thank you. So what advice do you guys have for any autistic people watching who are struggling to make friends and to like understand their neurodivergence?
Oh, special interests. I find the easiest way is follow the special interests. Okay, those are your people. Okay, you're already hyperfixated. You already have one thing in common. The most important thing, you like this one thing. You're all passionate about this one thing. Trust me, a lot can be built off a special interest. And what I also love is that because autistic people don't have relationship in the typical way, it means that, I can opt in and opt out. I like being able to opt in and out of the relationships in that way, so that it doesn't feel like a demand. Because we come together in our special interest. I know I have my routine. I know who to expect. I know I'm going to see my friends, but then I'm done with it. I can go home and rest and recharge. It's allowed me a bit of segregation, but I can also feel connected to my autistic community, but also feel connected to people through those special interest groups. Autistic brain fat. What was the question? Yeah, the disability will disable you at any time.
Any advice? Any advice for anyone with autism that's struggling to make friends? And which you did answer, like the special interest. Yeah.
Stick with the special interest, but if you're a parent, your children's special interest is a built-in friendship group. Okay, you need other parents to argue and cry over the Lego problems in your house, the Pokemon cost in your house, the special sensory food. I don't like talking to people I have to explain the foundation to. I want to talk to people who understand. When I said, oh, it was a spicy day, they get what I mean. It was a spicy day. That's the respectful way I can talk about having a hard day with my child while honoring their experience. I just say we had a spicy day, so I don't feel alone. And my child's special interest and the friends they make from that, and the other parents I meet, sometimes it's just a point of connection, even if it's not a ongoing relationship, but for the purpose of those activities, we come together. And I find that I like that very much, because like I said, I like the opting in and opting out, because my social batteries can get low very fast, because I have physical disabilities on top of my autism. I have other conditions that are energy deficient, I call them, in fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. These are conditions that suck up energy out of you, as much as ADHD and autism also suck up energy. So needing to manage my energy and my spoon so that I can be there for my child and provide the high care they need, while also having my own needs that are also high and have to be met, just means that being very careful in how much spoons I can give to friendships and building relationships. But I think if you go with things that are built into your lives, whether it's your university, your high school, or your local library, or or Facebook groups, if you look for those points of connections, I think you can have friendships on your terms, because I know how important that can be as autistic people, that we have relationships and things on our terms, so that we feel secure and safe, but also without the pressure of having to perform a mask, which itself is detrimental to our health. So that would be my advice. Connect to the supports and relationships and the activities that are already existing in your life. Look for opportunities to connect, because it will save you energy and time. You're not having to fit one more thing into your schedule. Rather, you're utilizing things you're already doing and finding connections in those spaces, if that makes sense. Yeah.
For me, I think my advice would also be on making friends. as an autistic person, find someone who truly cares about you. To find people, and another question is, how do I find someone who cares, who cares about how they make me feel? Because I notice like having common interests and being in certain like groups and settings can still be so lonely, although you have the common interest. Because I, for example, I'm also a dancer, and when I was in dance school in this competition team where I was like 5 days a week, always 3 hours per day. And there I had a really hard time connecting with anyone, although we are all into dancing and we worked as a group. But when there was a break in the class from the dancing and it was time to speak and interact, I always went to the wall and did like headstands because that regulated me as a child a lot. Or but I had a hard time to even know how to speak to the others. And so my advice to make it concrete would be to have one trusted person, a friend, a parent, a caregiver, a mentor, a sibling, a family member who you trust, who knows enough about not knows enough, but also can quickly understand and make sense of human behavior, who you can talk to about experiences that you have with your new friends. To also give you some guidance in checking in also, is this okay that this person is treating me like that? Because often we don't know what our own boundaries are, or we can't always recognize this is actually bullying. But I thought this person was actually engaging with me, but all these backhanded comments and undertones in their voice and how they then acted is actually the sign of the opposite. Because recently I've come across the concept of frenemy, and I'm trying to make sense of it because I have a hard time seeing when people, like I have a sometimes a gut feeling of when something is off, but I have a hard time identifying who is actually more like a frenemy or someone who does not have my well-being as a core focus or interest of our connection as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I can really relate to that in terms of friendships and not realizing, oh, that person actually hated me. Like those people that I thought were my closest friends when I was younger, they were making fun of me. Oh, okay. Like, I just have a flashback memory of like, oh, I remember this conversation. Then I realized, wait, that's what bullying looks like. So it's a shame because in we don't realize in the moment. But I think one thing, and even leading back to the advice as well, is like trust that feeling, that gut feeling that you have. If you were safe, you would feel it. If you have that gut feeling, it's for a reason. I've had so many situations happen to me recently where I've constantly been reminded of that. I think we see the world. I feel like we're constantly told that our perception of the world is skewed. I think we see the world for what it is when we have autism. It is very overwhelming. There is so much going on and we're taking it all in, And I think we're kind of taught that, oh, we don't have as much of an understanding. But I think it's just that we have more information that we have to assort. And that's why it's difficult to get to that conclusion of what this actually is, But as I started to be more vocal when I noticed things, I realized there were like, even recently I had a situation. I mentioned to my friend how I felt about this thing, and I was like, and I've stopped speaking to this person because of this, and she was like, I noticed that. And I thought, I wish I would have said earlier, because she noticed it. I was telling myself, oh, it's probably in your head, oh, I'm sure they didn't really mean it that way. And a different friend of mine had seen that and noticed it, and they were like, I just didn't want to bring it up to you and make you paranoid. And I was like, I actually needed that validation. So it's about trusting your gut, being communicative, don't ignore that voice. And especially if you have autism, don't listen to people when they say, oh, but you struggle with understanding people. No, I have too much information, so it's hard to come to a conclusion, but I have the information, I've noticed all of it, so I think just remembering that it's not, oh, I was in a panel for African or autistic people yesterday, and someone made an amazing quote. I'll get his name up when I can, but he said, it's not our comprehension that we struggle with. It's, I wish I could remember it, but he was essentially saying he doesn't appreciate the fact that people say that we struggle with, we struggle with verbalizing it, but it's not our comprehension that's the issue. We understand what's going on, but we're struggling to put it into words and to articulate it. And I thought that was a really special thing that he mentioned. But yeah, sorry, Khadija, you have your hand raised.
Oh, no, I was just listening. I think to add to that, because we also have delay processing compared to everyone else, it takes us a while to take that data and put it together and get a conclusion out of it. And because of that delay, it can take a while to then respond to something that's causing us a discomfort or the fact that's a vibe or the energy. And I think autistic people are good at reading energy and vibe. It does not lie. If anything else at all, way before we catch up to the facts of the matter, our brain has picked up already. Something is not right. It's the vibe, the energy. Just like, I don't know what it is, but something is not right with my spirit. And very often that delay processing though means it takes us weeks and sometimes months to go, oh, they are undermining me. That's what the word is for how I'm feeling. It's and also people forget, autistic people, it's not a lack of not knowing how we feel. It's naming what we are feeling. Often that is the challenge. We know we're feeling some type of way, but what is the name? What exactly is the very specific name for this behavior that this person is perpetrating against me? But because we've grown up our whole lives being bullied, being told our perception is wrong, being gaslighted, told we're too sensitive, told we are antisocial, told we are all these other negative names, it's no wonder we grow up to then question ourselves, even when our intuition is saying run, not safe. We go, oh, maybe I'm being sensitive, or maybe I am antisocial, maybe I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. We spend so much time in that way before we respond, and the damage is done. And that's why I think I agree in having safe people around. And I always say to my people, because, you know, Africans have this saying, oh, I knew, but I just didn't want to disturb you. People will say after the fact, or when something's happened, oh, I thought so too, but I just thought I won't tell you. And I've said to people close to me, if you ever do that, if you tell me after the fact you were worried for my well-being and you didn't tell me, and you're telling me after the fact, sorry, it's a no-go. I do not care what who the person is, how long I have known them. Anyone who poses even the slightest risk or causes me discomfort or poses a threat to my well-being or peace or contentment in any way, raise it with me. Give me the opportunity as an adult, not a child, because people like infantilizing us. As an adult, give me the information and give me the benefit to then decide what I do with that information. Because more often, if I've already been gaslighting myself, I need that affirmation to go, oh my God, it's not just me. I am not being sensitive. I need that affirmation. So telling me after the fact, after damage has been done, it's not being a friend. It's not being safe. Tell me. And in fact, I think in my unmasking, I have come to understand, and this word might not always translate. English is like my third language, gullible. This idea of feeling very gullible as an autistic person, I can't find, that's the closest word I can translate from my language to English, but it's that sense of gullibleness, that I am vulnerable, and that there are people who want to prey on that vulnerability because they see autistic people as easy prey, as very easy prey, and that hypervigilant to constantly be aware of myself so nobody will cause me more harm, because I have reached my threshold of trauma. I won't lie to nobody. I have reached the threshold, no more. I do not negotiate, no more. So I have asked the people around me, my safe people, that I give them that consent to keep an eye out for me. If they see a change in my behavior, if any flags are raised, to have a chat with me and give me that chance to be able to check in. So my social worker, for example, every fortnight, we do a regular check-in on what's going on in my life, and especially around relationships. And we started doing this because we realized that with my delay processing, it could take me months, 3 to 6 months later before I go, oh, that situation, I'm actually upset. They go, what do you mean? Oh, I'm upset by that thing that happened 6 months ago. Now that I've had time, I realize how really upsetting it is. And they're like, oh, why couldn't you have told us then? I didn't actually know you upset me then. I didn't actually know you upset me then. I only now know it's upset me 6 months later or a year later. I'm sorry, sometimes it can take that long for me to process what is happening to me. So I have asked my safe people, and have built-in protective factors to check in. So I'm constantly having an opportunity to check into my body and my mind and my spirit. How am I feeling? Am I safe? Am I secure? Check into the relationships. Is there anything that is throwing me off? And having that safe space to then bring those concerns and have people can affirm me, who are prioritizing my well-being, who are saying, you are the one that matters. So if you feel this way, we back you up. And I need that as a parent, because I do that for somebody else 24 hours a day, watching and looking hyper vigilant for my baby like a soldier, like I'm ready to go for war. And I'm like, what about big Khadija? What about little Khadija, big Khadija? We also need protection. And I have, realized that there's no shame as an adult in recognizing your vulnerabilities, and especially as disabled and autistic people, that we do have vulnerabilities. But those vulnerabilities are nothing to be ashamed of. It's more putting protective factors in place so that we are protected and looked after, and no further harm is caused to us, because I think we deserve that. We already struggle so much and life is already hard. We certainly don't need any more trauma, and we don't need people who will cause us more distress in our lives. So the more I can minimize that, the better for me and for my baby.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that as I'm sure that people who are watching and listening, like who are autistic or neurodivergent, or know about enough or updated information about autism, know that we're all individuals and that it's a spectrum in the round spiderweb sense for a reason. And also because of my very close one, Black autistic friend, I wanted to say that because we talked about intuition and gut feelings, and that is important, but I want to note that often for my friend, it has not been easy to, there was no intuition, because there was a difficulty of even interpreting this is what this social interaction means and how it actually makes me feel. So for me, what I figured out is I often can't place how something is meant, or what I don't know how to say, but
like the context.
Yeah, I can't, the context matters, but sometimes I can't quite interpret
intent,
what something, how someone really meant something.
Intent,
the intent, I guess. And also, sometimes something feels off, but I can't quite place it. And then I usually ask a trusted person, whether it's in that moment or later, of how they would interpret the situation or how they perceive it. And at the end of the day, I still try to listen to my gut feeling. But I think it's important to note that many people on the spectrum don't have an intuition that is loud enough, in the sense that we can rely on it on all times. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm also talking in terms of being, having different parts of the spectrum, having more traits there and less traits there. Yeah.
I think it does make a lot of sense. I think because I've spoken to a lot of people, and I know with me, I feel like my intuition is loud. It's screaming. But then I also speak to other people with autism, and they're like, I couldn't have picked up on that. Like, I really struggled with that. And there's been also different moments in my life where I know in some stages in my life, it was harder for me to pick up on, especially when I was like, a lot of things were going on. I was very anxious, or I was in an area that was very racist. So there was other things I was more hyper aware of than, making friends. I was more hyper aware of the fact that people were being racist towards me, or classist, or whatever it was. So I think there's also, as much as this is spectrum in terms of everyone experiences it differently, I think also in different stages in our life we experience it differently. And I just wanted to mention that, because I know sometimes when I say my intuition, I trust it and I know it's right, people say, oh, but that's not how autism works. I'm like, well, this is what we mean when we say it's spectrum. For some people it isn't, and it isn't loud, and for other people it is loud, or in some moments in my life it's not loud, and in other moments in my life it is loud, and it is true, and it's consistent, and it's proved. So but thank you for raising that, because I think when we talk about the spectrum, these are the intricacies that we don't often touch on. Do you have any advice that helped you to make friends, or that you use moving forward to make some more?
Get adopted. Like,
Get a doctor. Oh, invite.
yeah, like I don't know, like, but like my thing is I'm standing in the corner, and when the people come, they'll come, and when they do, like those are your people. It's always like a wildly extroverted person who like at the end is always like, I don't even notice anything different about you. It's like you don't notice it because you're doing all the talking. And I like love that for me. So get adopted. Like it's okay. You don't have to like keep going and pushing and like forcing yourself in places, because I don't know about anybody else, but like I'm now doing that whole like reparenting thing and looking back on life. I go, every single one of my best friends ended up dating my boyfriend after, or every single one of my best friends ended up saying like they weren't actually my friends. Like I'm like, we hung out every day for like a year, and I was at your house every day, and they were like, no, we weren't actually friends. That's why I can go out with your boyfriend. But like all the time. And like that's such a common thing for like autistic people to think someone is your friend. So just like stop and wait, let the people who to find you instead of like being in places and like trying. Not saying you shouldn't try things, but like let the people find you. They'll find you, and they'll be good people.
I would say
Yeah.
too, like be okay with rejection. Like you said, like the people who are for you will find you. And if somebody does reject you, like don't internalize it. Don't internalize that there's something wrong with you, there's something off. Just kind of be like, okay, that door, that opportunity for friendship wasn't for me. You know, there will be ones that are perfect, you know? And that's what you should just focus on.
I agree.
really-
And yes, Ash, go ahead.
My bad. I was gonna say I'm really glad that you mentioned to not be afraid of rejection, because with me living with DID, I have gone through a lot of trauma. I'll say that. And a good chunk of that is based on interpersonal relationships, how I was chronically rejected as a child, and I had no idea why. It was because I was, missing all the jokes and not really getting conversation and things like that. And I just didn't know why. But now as an adult, now that I know I'm autistic, now that I have all these answers, I'm less afraid of that rejection, and I feel more confident in myself. I just made a post about this on Instagram. I'm more confident to sort of put myself out there. And just as the overall thing of this is your people will find you. The group of friends that I have now, they're from the UK. They are the loves of my life. I love them to death. And even though I'm in the US and they're in the UK and we're halfway across the world, those are my people, and they found me. And I would have never found them if I didn't convince myself to be like, okay, the worst thing that's going to happen is if they say no and leave me alone. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. So your people will find you, but don't be afraid to put yourself out there, I guess is my point.
I
Yeah,
like that. And oh, sorry. You can go ahead, Fatima.
I guess just to touch a bit more on like the vulnerability aspect of it, like something that I learned recently in an organization that I'm a part of is hard back, soft front. So knowing that you are true to yourself, and knowing that just because you are neurodivergent or you're autistic or whatever it is that like you have, that does not make you wrong. That does not make you inherently wrong as a person. That does not make you undeserving of friendship and of love and of interpersonal relationships and things of that sort. But you have to internalize that. And so I think when I was younger and I was trying to make friends, I was always the person that was like very fiercely loyal to those who even gave me a chance, who even talked to me for a little bit. And I had to learn the hard way to like actually find out if those people are also fiercely loyal to you. And that includes how they react when you are having an autistic meltdown. That includes how they react when you need more support than what you've been asking them for, or more support than what they've been providing for you. And so I think it's also important to realize that you need to be your own friend first before you go out and find other friends, because being your own friend is going to be like the key to all interpersonal relationships.
Thank you so much. Caro, you was going to say as well.
Oh, yeah. So that was kind of off of like both of what you guys just said, what I was saying with Ash, like you mentioned how you have friends, you're in the States and you have friends in the UK. And I feel like that's so important for autistic people to like redefine the barriers of what friendship is for you. You know, like you can have friends online and that's friendship. Like, you know, like you can have friends that you don't see often and that will still be a defining friendship for you. And I feel like what gets us stuck sometimes is trying to look for things in a neurotypical way and be like, oh, I need to be that person that I'm with somebody with every single day and that's my best friend. And it's like my best friend, I feel like we probably talk maybe like 3-4 times a year, you know, like we'll text each other and be like, hey, but when we do talk, we catch up on everything that's happening, you know, and it's a great time and it's never like we miss a beat or it's awkward. And that's somebody I've been friends with for years, you know? So I think that's important too. It's just kind of like defining what you find, you know, to be anything for friendships, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. One of my good friends, I met him online during the lockdown because I did a lot of film and TV content, and he just reached out to me and was like, "Oh, I love the content." We spoke for a whole year, never met in person. It was lockdown. I didn't meet anyone in person. He was like the best friend that I had then. We have now met up, and like it's I think there's just something really cool about the fact that we actually had never seen each other in person for a whole year. And now it's like it's kind of crazy that that's how our friendship started, and now we see each other we used to see each other every day in person. So I think, yeah, definitely don't I think a lot of neurotypical people can undermine the value of online friendships, but they are very powerful, very significant, and sometimes they can end up being transferred into real in-person friendships as well. So and that's something to really be excited and look forward to. So don't allow people to undermine the value of those friendships, because I know that I have personally experienced that myself.